Well, good morning, everybody. Jeff Slakey and Spencer Hughes here on the Daybreak Show and via Zoom video conference from our offices at John L. Scott in beautiful downtown Shelton. It's Jamie Mell. Hey, Jamie.
Hi, how's it going?
It's going well. It's good to see you.
Yes.
I think today, well, first things first, and I always like to do this, make sure everybody knows. Right now, currently, Jamie is helping my parents sell their house in Grapeview. I
Yeah,
just like to make sure any sort of those types of notes are aware for the listeners.
definitely.
So let's talk about them. How's it going?
It's
They
going really
are.
well.
Tell me
Yeah.
about this process of listing a house during coronavirus.
So it is a little different because of our meeting guidelines and the different precautions that we have to put into place. So as far as getting home ready to sell, having that communication, there's a lot of email communication happening. And then when we start, preparing for the marketing and stuff, we're going to be setting up the professional photographer and, we have to follow the guidelines. So it's the realtor and one other person at the property at all times. So as well as following guidelines with mask, gloves, booties, that kind of thing. So it's definitely different.
Has this then extended the length of the process to make sure you are scheduling this right with the photographer, or you say, okay, leave the key here and then I'll get there tomorrow, and then it's a more of a longer process?
I wouldn't say it's exactly longer. There's just a lot more, tedious. We can't really be running into each other and, the back and forth of the house, that kind of thing. So, just trying to navigate it, especially when we're working with a timeline.
Yeah.
If the seller wants to have the house on a certain date, trying to get this time of the year a photographer or getting your pictures done can be a challenge due to the weather. So making sure that we can get on a schedule, especially on a home maybe that's on waterfront, where you have, the sun out and it's not downpouring.
Yeah, it's got to,
because the drone, the drone's going to go away.
oh yeah, man, you've got all sorts of things to think about.
Yep. Yeah.
When it comes to the homeowner who is going to try to do everything they can before you come in, either the first time or throughout the process, I know that my folks have been kind of clearing out parts of the home that may not be as desirable to buyers,
Exactly.
pictures and different types of furniture and things like that. How bare bones do you think it needs to be? Are people utilizing stagers these days, or?
Yes. I mean, we're starting to see that more and more where people are utilizing stagers and where the agent's coming in and actually giving a little bit more direction. One thing that I do is I start preparing the sellers and I provide them with a photography checklist so that they have some information on things to be looking at, clearing out the clutter, the personal things, and, just making sure that it's simple when someone walks in. It's simple, clean. There's not a whole bunch of stuff on the counters to distract people, and just really tidying things up. And then as far as like preparing for pictures, making sure that toilet seat's down, things that people don't think about. Things that drive me crazy when you see blinds that are uneven, but they're like semi-closed, things that catch your eye, like cushions being uneven, that kind of thing.
So you kind of almost have to be like you're in the movies and you're a continuity director. You want to make sure that the shot looks good. It's a good setup in every shot. How not honest with the people who are buying the home or selling the home, but how have you learned to nudge them in a direction that they may not be comfortable going?
Are you talking with the seller?
I guess I'm talking, yeah, you're representing a seller and they either want the house to be listed for this price or they want this type of thing to be focused on. And then you come in because you're the expert and you go, I don't know about that. Maybe what I would do is look at it this way.
Yeah. So let's start with price. So if one thing I always like to find out is where are the sellers thinking they ideally want their home to be placed on the price scale. And then from there, I just pull the data and the comps and explain to them, well, this is what the market is currently supporting. And then we just have the conversation on how do you want to strategize your pricing? Because if we miss out in the first 2 weeks on a price where, people are looking at it, they instantly say, oh, it's overpriced, and they move on. We don't want to lose out on people. So talking about where we want to be put, high end, lower end of the scale, and getting those offers in is the main thing.
And that also, though, has to kind of do with where you're going to have this listed. I would imagine that someone who lives in Shelton, I'm going to make a lot of assumptions here, but I'm going to assume that someone who lives in Shelton, they're looking over your website and seeing homes. If they were to peruse past a house that was $550,000, they would go, yikes, that's a lot of money. Now, if someone in Seattle who's looking across, they're thinking about taking the West Seattle Bridge, for the last time or whatever's happening there, and they look at a $550,000 price point and they go, man, we could buy that with room to spare for additions. How do you make those determinations?
Well, really, I focus on the area and again, the market and what the comps are supporting. I will say that, especially in the last month or so, properties, especially waterfront properties, have been selling very quickly. And I can only assume it has something to do with people moving out of the city. Mm-hmm. Especially with this COVID thing happening, a lot of people are readjusting. They've been spending a lot of time in their home. And I'm making some assumptions, but I think that a lot of people are wanting to move out of that city and get that country living, especially Mason County. We have so much waterfront potential and opportunities for people. I just listed a nice waterfront property out on Pickering Passage last Thursday. We went pending on Monday. So it was very quick.
Wow. Huh.
That.
Do you, when people buy a house, just overall in general, do they normally live near that house? I mean, do they live in the same zip code?
Oh, I understand what you're saying. In the past year, the buyers that I've helped to purchase, a lot of them have been moving into the area. So, I think we're seeing a lot of relocation right into Mason County because it's a beautiful place to live. You can't deny that fact that it's an amazing area and really the community is the best around.
The other thing about Mason County, I'm reading and hearing a lot of stuff that's happening north of the county line, just at the Bremerton Airport. There is a lot of industry starting to come in. Do you know a timeline on that and how that may impact things?
Unfortunately, I don't. I've just been hearing a lot of things and I haven't been able to really keep up on exactly what's happening. But I do know that we have a lot of people, even with just our rental market, that either work at Bangor or the shipyard, and they want to be down this area because cost of living is much cheaper. So like rent prices.
Yeah. Huh. Okay. Yeah, I think there's a lot of, that's going to help Mason County in a lot of different ways here Certainly in the next couple of years. Interesting. So the numbers on the houses, they continue to hover, around 30 or so active listings a month?
So let's see, in April in Mason County, we had 110 new listings. 110 new listings and 125 went pending. So the pending listings for Mason County were up about 12% as opposed to 2019. Closed sales was down by 19%. We closed in April 79 homes in Mason County. Inventory right now, or inventory at the end of April, was 170 homes, and these are residential. And then the month supply of inventory for the entire Mason County area was actually down 23%. We have 1.6 months of inventory.
Oh, geez.
And last year we had 2.1 months of inventory.
So even less as people start to look to come in. Now's the time. Now's the
Yeah.
time. Wow, that's
An
pretty.
interesting,
That's pretty interesting, actually.
it is. An interesting stat I pulled off of National Association of Realtors said that 77% of sellers are making preparations to sell their home once this COVID and stay-at-home order is lifted. So I think the market's going to spike right back up the second half of the year.
And is there something that would lend itself to help Mason County more, like you were saying, the fact that folks want to get out of the city, there's a little more space in Mason County? I mean, do you get a sense that if we were in the middle of downtown Seattle, this pandemic that we're in the middle of could definitely be hurtful in an impact to the market there, whereas in Mason County, because of folks who may have more money in King County wanting to come here, that kind of could protect us a little bit? Or I don't know. I'm just talking.
I think that's hard to say. I think so, a little bit, yeah, but it's hard to say.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's all hard to say right now. You don't know
Yeah,
what's
it
going
is.
one day to the next on this.
Exactly.
Well,
Yeah.
best thing to do is to call Jamie. Jamie, tell everybody
Right.
your work phone number.
My number, call me, 360-463-6302.
And then office availabilities, you're not, nobody's coming in, but you're able to get on the website and stuff like that, or by appointment?
Yes. Yeah. So office is closed to the public, and I have all the phone lines are forwarded to me, so it's ringing off the hook. Jenny, our property manager for Mell Property Management, same thing. She's been popping in and out just to make sure that things are good and mail and checks are being processed. But if you're looking for a rental, call her too, and her phone number 360-427-1339.
We'll put the phone numbers and the links to the websites in the show notes here today. Jamie Mell talking real estate from John L.
Yeah.
Scott. Good to see you.
Nice to see you too.